So, I was not planning on recording a second time today, because really for the most part I just don't like to. But upon getting home from work and getting up back into my room and just seeing what had gone on during the day, I found out Konami, without any warning or precedent or any real anything, decided to completely change the nature of the metagame because they announced what is called an adjusted list, or as I like to call it, bullshit coward list. Now, I'll get into the opinion part in a minute. So first up, let's just talk about the facts. Today, Konami announced that starting February 8th, there will be what is called an adjusted list, meaning at certain sanctioned events, there will be a specific list of certain cards that are banned. In reality, this is to stop Pepe because all the cards were Pepe's big things. Forbidden on this list are Performage Plush Flyer, Performage Damage Juggler, Teller Knight Telemias, I think that's how you pronounce that name. Limited to one are Performer Pal Skullcrobat Joker, Performer Pal Monkey Board, and Luster Pendulum the Draco Slayer. Finally, an important errata also came out, and that was that when you use Pendulum Sorcerer's effect, originally it said for destroyed monsters, now it says for destroyed cards. That's not that important. That's just good because it straightens that out, makes it easier to follow for people who might not be too familiar with the card. Now, what does this list mean? Well, it means that Konami is finally starting to acknowledge that they have a very broken, very unfollowable line between corporate marketing and also just trying to make a good game. What I mean by that is there's a big difference between trying to sell product and trying to make a game that people like and have fun with. For example, Monopoly can be a very fun game. You can just sit there with your friends for several hours until you all get bored and someone just flips over the whole freaking game. But the thing is that when you buy Monopoly and just have fun with it, there's nothing else to it. The game has been designed for you to have fun so that way you will tell your friends and they will buy the game. Yu-Gi-Oh does not work like this because Yu-Gi-Oh is based around selling multiple products for the same game every year. This is the way the game functions and continues to move on. Because of this, a lot of times the ban list just functions on killing off powerful things so that way the new powerful things can come into play. I mentioned this in my last ban list video back in November. Now, the thing about this list, however, is this list is completely 100% designed around killing the Tier 0 creator that is Pepe. Now, I don't think Pepe is as unfair in the TCG as it is in the OCG, just because we had a lot more time to prepare for it, and things like Cosmos sort of help keep things checked with just more decks around and different strategies going on. But the thing is, there's no ignoring that this deck is a problem, and because it does create a Tier 0 situation, or at least as close to one as we've gotten since E-Dragons, a lot of people would probably just want to give up on the game as they did in E-Dragons because what's the point? If you don't play E-Dragons, you can't compete. Monarchs are strong, Cosmos are strong, but even though it's not as bad, Pepe is still dominant and just really unfair to play against because of everything on it. Now, this means that Konami could have just grinned and bear it, wait till the next ban list, which we don't even know when the official ban list comes out, but they chose to do this. Or they could have done an emergency ban list like they did back in Teledad format many years ago. But instead, what they did is they came out with this list, meaning that certain things will only apply to certain tournaments. Meaning that if your local doesn't want to play by this list, which mine actually has already announced they'll be playing by this list, if your local doesn't want to, or if a regional chooses not to, you can still spend all that money on Pepe. You can still have the unfair, overly broken Tier 0. It's just certain events. And the first event this will cover is YCS Prague on February 8th, which obviously I will not be attending as I am here in America. But this does stem to reason. Why do this list? Well, it is important to get the deck under control. But why not just do a full-on ban list? That's because they still want you to spend a lot of money on Pepe. You see, this is where the line truly gets broken, is that unlike E-Dragons or Nekroz or Shadows or any other strong deck in this game's history, they can't just kill it off right away. Because since Performer Pals and Performages are from the show and played by prominent characters, they are going to be around for a while. To a certain extent, you could argue Performer Pal will be getting support forever, like Black Wings or Dark Magician or Heroes, because of their show relations. Because of this, they can't actually kill the deck off. It needs to still be functional because they're going to keep making stuff, so it needs to stay relevant in competitors' eyes now that it is relevant. Because of this, Konami needed to figure out a way to slow the deck down, a way to sort of keep things sort of under control and make things sort of look stable. So they created this list, so that way tournaments and locals could simply just choose which they want to do. You want to do an adjusted list? Fine. You want to do full-on regular format? Fine. Why do I have a problem with this? Well, because of this, there's no real stable way to test play anymore. If you're going to a YCS that's using the adjusted list, but your local doesn't want to use the adjusted list, then you really can't get any actual play practice. The thing is that if you try to practice online, I assume online they won't go by the adjusted list, so you'll have to look for specific people. Thus, practicing a deck becomes irrelevant at this point because, well, everyone's functioning under different lists, and it would be fine if there were specific guidelines, like all YCSs from now on would be on an adjusted list. So that way when a YCS is coming, you and your local can decide to test things out. But they didn't do that. They didn't just stamp down their foot on the ground and say, this is what we're doing. Sorry if you spent all this money, but we have a problem and we need to fix it. They decided we will keep our hands completely clean by only affecting certain tournaments, ones that get us a lot of notoriety. People see a YCS. Pepe didn't top. We can claim that. See, we're not as bad. Things aren't as bad as the OCG, but on the local level, you can still completely get bullied. On regional level, Pepe will still most likely be top tier, and I think that personally this list was just a stupid way to just save her time till the next ban list, as well as test the waters to see if it's worth going extensive against Pepe. It is. So as for the actual bans themselves, the cards that got hit, actually that's perfect. I think everything this ban list hit was perfect. The two Perform Mages they hit are completely overpowered. Skullcrobat and what was the other one? Oh, and Ptolemaeus, I actually don't have much of an opinion on. Infinity is really not good on its own. It's easily killable. It can be killed fairly easily, but I understand the need to get rid of it. Skullcrobat and Monkey Board? Great, perfect. At 1, at 3, those cards are completely unfair because you have no way of opening without access to a pendulum scale. But at 1, they're a lot more balanced. It keeps the deck a lot slower. And I think that is a limit that could stay going well into the future. Draco Slayer going to 1, also perfect. With how rampant Draco Face-Off is and with the Draco Slayers being a big thing, getting a toolbox card that strong at 1 is a perfect decision. And I don't, like I always say, you don't need to ban everything, just make everything run a little bit slower. As for the Pendulum Sorcerer thing, fine, we needed the errata, it keeps things forward. It's not like a lot of other erratas where they're changing the effect, they're just clearing things up, so that's fine. But what did you think? In the comment section below, give me your thoughts on this adjustment list, and just anything else, because I'm not even sure what else to say at this point. But as always, click to like and click to subscribe, and we'll see where things go from here.